minus 5, minus 4, minus 3, minus 2, X minus 1. Fire.
Lights out, everybody. The creaking door.
Dimension X.
Inner Sanctum Mystery.
X minus 1.
Dark Battlestate.
Hello everyone, welcome to Sci-Fi and Horror, brought to you by Dwayne Old Time Radio. Sci-Fi and Horror features some of the best programs from the golden age of radio, including X-1, Orbiter X, Dimension X, it's a lot of X's, Lights Out, Ray Bradbury, Dark Fantasy, and many, many more. Before we start today's sci-fi and horror thriller, if you enjoy what I'm doing, let me ask you to subscribe to my channel. Subscribing is 100% free, and you will receive notifications on new posts. Lastly, if you have a moment, please write a short 1 or 2 sentence review or give a rating on your preferred podcast service. A positive review or rating would help me out a lot. And now, on to the show. And again, thank you for your support. Hope you enjoy. The Day of the Triffids returns with episodes 5 and 6. This series aired in 1957.
The BBC presents The Day of the Triffids.
The Downs, of course. Josella said something about some friends with a farm near Pulborough. I bet that's where she's gone.
Episode 5, World Narrowing.
The day after the others decided to go to Tynesham, I set out for Sussex. That morning the weather broke and the rain was falling in sheets as I said goodbye to Coker. Dorchester, Wimborne, Ringwood were drenched and deserted. The only life I saw besides the occasional triffid were 2 blind ponies in the New Forest. After Rumsey, the sun came out, but the utter loneliness was beginning to get on my nerves. I even thought of turning round and going back to the others. But suddenly, as I passed through a village not far from Southampton, a small figure bounded out of one of the garden gates and came running up the road towards me, waving both arms. Hello, who are you?
My name's Susan. I'm 9. Will you come and help me, please?
Are you alone?
There's Tommy, but something's happened to him. One of those things hit him. He's lying in the garden, look, and the thing's still there.
Put your fingers in your ears. I'm going to shoot the top of it.
Is it dead now?
Yes.
Horrible thing.
Was Tommy your little brother?
Yes. He's only 6. He went out to play.
I'm afraid he's dead.
Poor Tommy. Shall we bury him?
Yes. Is there a spade?
Just over there in the tool shed.
Oh, yes. Would you like to sit in the lorry?
No, I shall be all right. I saw the puppies buried.
You've been waiting long.
Absolute ages.
Are your mother and father anywhere?
They've gone. One morning they couldn't see and Dad went out for help. Then Mummy went to find him and didn't come back and Tommy and I waited.
When did you last eat?
There was lots of cheese and yet that. And then I went down to Mrs. Walton at the post office. She wasn't there, so I took some cake and biscuits and wrote a note. One of those things tried to hit me coming back. I told Tommy not to go out, but he was too little to properly understand. And it was hot yesterday, so he ran out to play with his wheelbarrow while I was washing his other pair of trousers. Will he go in there? It isn't very big.
It'll do. Oh, now, Susan, it's all right. It never hurt him, you know, and you've been so brave.
I've been lonely. I thought nobody was coming and I was frightened.
I know. I've been frightened too, and lonely. But now I'm not. Neither are you. Better?
I'll go and pick some flowers for him.
What else would modern like? A purple velvet tea gown trimmed with lace, a hat with fruit on it, or a nice comfy corset.
You are funny.
Oh, thank you, Susan. Now, if you've got all the clothes you need, we'd better push on. Chichester's a nice town, but we're a long way from where we're going.
Where are we going?
To find a farm near Pulborough.
What for?
I'm looking for a lady.
What sort of lady? Is she pretty?
Yes?
Good.
Come on. We don't want to wait around here.
No, it smells, doesn't it?
It does.
I suppose it's all the dead people.
Yes.
There was one in that shop.
I know.
She hadn't been stung by one of those things, though. She'd fallen down the stairs and broken her neck. I looked. Oh, dear.
You don't want to worry too much about these things.
I wasn't. I said, oh, dear, because it's going to rain again.
So this is Pulborough.
Where are the downs?
Over there.
Miles away.
Yes, I'd forgotten they were so far.
What shall we do?
Well, the farmhouse she talked about was on the north side of the downs, so we might be able to see it from here. There may be smoke or something.
It's hard to see anything much in this rain.
I know, and it's getting dark. A light, that's what we need. Put your Mac on and we'll use the spotlight.
Wish I had a pair of gumboots.
Now, you keep watching on the left while I swivel it over to the right.
It's like a searchlight.
Now off. Let's see if we get an answer.
Do you know the Morse code?
No.
I knew a boy called William who had a diary with it in.
If we can only get one solitary gleam of light, that'll tell me all I want to know. Now again. Left and right. Left and right.
Cover it up! I saw something!
Well.
Right over on the left. There it is again, look!
Yes, you're right, Susan. You're right.
Is it her?
It's got to be.
If you only knew the Morse code, you could ask her.
Can you still see it?
Through the trees, just. You want to turn left somewhere?
Can't see a thing.
There, a signpost. And the light's right ahead. There's someone standing by it. Is it her?
Yes, it is. Josella.
Hello, Bill. You've been a long time.
Josella, darling.
Oh, darling, darling. I've been hoping so much. Oh, Bill.
Darling.
You are getting wet. Why don't you kiss her indoors?
Yes, come on, Bill. I've left them far too long. I'm the only one who can see among the four of us.
Who are they?
Denis and Mary Brent. They were my friends, and it's their farm. And Joyce Taylor, who is staying with them. Come indoors. Then after they'd all died down in Westminster, I went up to Hampstead to try and find you, and then on to the university.
I went there, too.
I sheered off pretty quick when I saw that man Coker prowling round and came straight down here.
Coker's all right. He wouldn't have harmed you.
I didn't know that then.
Thank goodness you didn't. If you hadn't come quickly, it would have been the end of us.
And to crown everything, Mary was having her baby, and the house was surrounded by Triffids.
Joyce was wonderful.
How is the baby?
They're both doing well.
And it isn't blind.
So now we have 4 pairs of eyes. 2 grown-ups, 1 little girl, and 1 baby.
And 3 blind encumbrances.
Shut up, Denis. No, I'm sorry. I don't know you well enough to say that to you, but you aren't encumbrances. You can't afford to be.
All right. But what happens next?
Next I shall go to bed. Tomorrow we'll sort out what needs doing. Still raining.
We needed it.
What for?
The vegetables.
Oh, this is an extremely comfortable bed.
They were quite well off, Denis and Mary. Poor things. They aren't now.
Better off than some.
Yes. Is it terrible everywhere?
Everywhere except here.
I know. That's how I feel. Oh, Bill, thank heaven you came.
I was terrified you wouldn't be here.
And I was afraid you'd got the plague and died. But you didn't. You haven't.
It's funny to think that we're only at the beginning of our troubles.
Thank you. That's a charming thing for a girl to be told on her wedding night.
What on earth's that? Oh, hello, darling. You're up.
It's past milking time.
You've been doing it?
Yes, I'm teaching Joyce. But it's tricky for her, especially as the cows are blind, too. Hello?
Can I come in? Isn't it a lovely day? Can I go out?
Yes, I suppose so.
No, wait. Let's see how many Triffids there are sitting round. They tend to come nearer in the night.
Oh, there's one by the gate.
Another in the hedge.
2 by the cow shed.
Beastly things.
How'd you like to do something about them, Susan?
I'd love to.
I've still got all that anti-triffid gear in the truck. Come on, Susan. The triffid season is open.
Whoopee!
3, 4, 5 cups. How's that, Joe?
Fine, darling. Except one's right on the edge. No, not anymore.
Oh, Lord, I can't even do that.
Oh, Joyce.
One step up, Denis, and you're in the house.
All right. You can let go now. I know my way round.
Well, we've toured the estate.
And I've sliced the tops off 27 Triffids.
Dead eye, Susan.
I love killing them. I'm going to go out every day, Josella, and kill as many as I can and keep a record, can I?
I shouldn't think there'd be many left soon.
They'll last for a bit. Tea up.
Nearly. But we'll have to hurry. We've the cows to get in, the baby to bath.
I can do that.
Not yet, darling. The butter to make, the water to draw.
And I've got to unload the truck before tomorrow.
Why? Where are you going?
Out on the scrounge. Farm implements, petrol, all manner of things.
Can I come?
No. There's a lot of heavy carrying to be done. Are you up to it, Denis?
If you think I'll be any use.
Of course you will. You can take one end of a 40-gallon drum as well as the next man.
You know you're 2 months old today. Yes, you are. Yes, you are. Josella, is her hair really blonde?
Actually, it's beginning to go a bit dark at the roots.
He's ready.
Tea! Hello! Tea!
All right, don't shut the place down. I was washing.
Oh, sorry. We thought you were in the field.
The tractor's bust.
Oh, no.
Anything serious?
Fairly.
Pass the bread round, Susan.
Is this the new batch?
Yes, I put more soda in it.
It's a dollar sight nicer than what we used to have in the old days.
2 months ago.
They seem like the old days. Do you know, I bagged 40 Triffids today. That makes my total 217.
And still they come.
What's the matter, Bill?
Well, just thinking.
I'll come over tomorrow if you want tractor fuel.
No, I'm going on another trip tomorrow.
Oh?
No, I'm going over to Tynestham.
That place in Wiltshire? Bill, why?
To fetch back 2 trucks and their drivers.
You mean you want us all to go over there?
Yes. I'll start early and take the sports car. I should do the round trip in a day.
But I like it here.
So do I. Besides, we've been making a pretty good go of it.
No, Joyce, we haven't. We've all been working our guts out to keep the place clear of Triffids and producing just about 1/16 of what we eat. We're storing nothing. We've stocked no firewood for winter. We're getting nowhere fast. We shall manage better in a larger community.
But
besides, there's another reason. Joe...
Well, it's a bit early to announce it, but I'm going to have a baby.
Joyce, how can you tell when it's butter without being able to see?
I can feel it change.
You're all getting awfully good at things.
Well, the sun's set, hasn't it?
Nearly. When will Bill be back?
Darling, for the 15th time, we don't know.
I only wondered.
And do try not to ask Josella. It worries her.
It's all right, Joyce. I'm here, bringing in the eggs.
Sorry. There are some things I'm not good at yet.
Of course, he may easily decide to stay the night.
I dare say he will.
After all, it's a longish way, and he won't want to travel in the dark.
Hi!
What is it?
Listen, I can hear a car.
Oh, Bill, darling, how marvellous. You just made it before dark.
Yes. Hello, Joe.
Hi, Bill. Good trip?
I got along pretty fast.
What's wrong?
We won't be going to Tynesham after all. It's finished.
Finished?
They got the plague by the look of it.
Oh.
Some must have got away because they took the trucks. I think they'd left a message on the door, but it had blown off all except one corner. Anyhow, there was nothing alive in sight except a few triffids growing in the drive.
Then what do?
We stay here. We learn how to support ourselves, and we go on supporting ourselves for the rest of time, if necessary.
That's the 95th post you put in today.
It feels like it. Here, pass the wire along.
It'll be like the Roman War when it's done, with Triffids instead of Picts and Scots wandering around outside.
So twice 5 miles of fertile ground with posts and wire were girdled round.
What?
Dear me, I suppose we ought to give you some sort of education.
But I am educated. Well, nearly. I mean, I can hit a triffid at 25 yards and practically milk a cow. Here's number 96.
I can hit a triffid at 25 yards and practically milk a cow. Perhaps she's right. Perhaps that's all the education she needs.
What are you writing so busily, darling?
My journal.
Are you going to be the Anglo-Saxon chronicler of our age?
No, but we got to keep a record of what we did and how we did it. You know, when we sowed and what we reaped. Otherwise, we won't even be able to learn from our mistakes. And, oh, my goodness, we're going to make some.
Depressed?
Not really. But I've been trying to read up a bit about farming and animal management. The trouble is that none of the writers seem to think that anyone can be as ignorant as I am. They all start halfway through.
I know. It's the same with cooking and gardening. Well, I suppose we'll learn. How much ground are you going to fence off?
About 100 acres, with an inner fence to keep us out of stinging range.
That's going to take you a bit of time.
Time, darling, is what we have a great deal of. All the time in the world. September the 24th. We've completed the fences, and all triffids are now outside where they can stay. This means that Susan can now spend more time on farm work. She's bitterly disappointed. We've harvested 20 sacks of corn, which we winnowed in a rather primitive manner. I must now find out how to grind flour. Perhaps a windmill. I saw a covey of partridges today flying over the stubble, but had no gun.
The 12th of December. I'm writing this because Bill was knocked down and trampled on by a horse he was trying to catch. He's not badly hurt, but it'll be several days before he's up and about. It's a nasty reminder of what might happen if one of us became seriously ill. We live on the edge of disaster. But I must say I feel very well, in spite of my ever-increasing size. Food stocks are full.
The 2nd of March. At 2 o'clock this morning, I delivered our baby. Josella was wonderfully brave and did most of the work. None of the books were any good at all, but luckily it seemed fairly obvious what was supposed to happen at each stage. We've called him David. He weighs 6.5 pounds on the kitchen scale.
12 dozen nappies, 1 pig drop.
Spelled O-U-G-H, like plough.
Why?
I don't know why, it just is.
Oh.
Lord, it'll seem funny going to a town again. Go on with the list, Susan.
1 gross razor blades, 20,000 vacuum-packed cigarettes, 10 pounds ditto tobacco, 10 tins ditto sweets.
I didn't put that in.
I did.
That's fair, Bill, if we're having cigarettes.
Besides, I like sweets too.
Oh, do you, Mary?
All right, carry on.
That's the lot.
Good. Now, there should be quite a bit of space left over if we take the 10-tonner. What other things do you want if we can get them on?
Braille books.
Yes. Well, when we get to Brighton, I'll go through the telephone directory and see if there's anywhere where we can get them. If not, we'll have to wait till we go to London.
Are you sure it wouldn't be better to go to London anyway?
I don't think so. Brighton, being smaller and by the sea, is certain to be safe after a year. London's still a slight risk.
Besides, it's a jolly sight nearer.
Any more requests?
If you could get a hand loom and some yarn.
Oh, and a potter's wheel and clay.
Jumpers.
Home perm outfits.
A gramophone for the long winter evening.
We might have a cine projector for the children.
Oh, yes, and a film camera and take films of us all.
Or why not what the butler saw from the Palace Pier while we're about it?
Why not?
I can hear the Triffids outside the wire.
Yes, they're a lot noisier lately.
Because there are more. Hadn't you noticed?
No, I've got more to do than count Triffids.
Well, there are. Several hundred all round us outside the wire.
As long as they stay there and let us get on with the work, that's all that matters. We'll leave for Brighton first thing, Denis.
It feels like a good road.
It is. Remember it? Through the downs and straight into Brighton.
Yeah.
We've just passed the turning to Lewis.
Today's Saturday, isn't it?
Yes, why?
Think of the traffic there'd have been a year ago.
I know. And now not a thing in sight. Hello. Yes, there is.
What's wrong?
About 50 yards ahead, there's a roadblock, and somebody's painted "Keep Out" in large letters right across.
They've no right to do that. Someone fired at us, didn't they?
Yes.
Quick, help me out. Quick.
Steady, steady. They weren't trying to hit us, or they'd have succeeded. But all the same, we'll take their advice.
Where shall we go?
London.
You said it wasn't safe.
Safety's relative.
Where are we?
Top of Lower Regent Street, looking across Piccadilly Circus.
At the clock.
One of its hands has fallen off.
Is Eros still standing?
Yes.
Well, go on. Tell me more. I want to know what it's like.
Like Piccadilly Circus empty. Sometimes when I lived in London, I used to get up early in summer and walk. About 5 o'clock on a summer morning, it was just like this.
Was it? There's a musty smell.
That's the chief difference. All around, on the steps of Eros, at the entrance to the London Pavilion, under the colonnade in Regent Street, there are little heaps of clothes with bones sticking out of them.
And you say it's no different.
Well, let's go shopping, shall we?
Where are the sweets, Bill? Where are the sweets?
Buried under 50 yards of good, serviceable, moth-eaten cloth at the back.
Oh, you are a beast.
Is it really moth-eaten?
It may be. We chose the best we could find, but moths and cockroaches are the only things left alive in the big stores. Oh, I don't know. We were glad of their company.
The silence was fantastic. Is there anything else to come out tonight?
The sweets!
Oh, here you are. Here's an odd tin I left out. Now, run away and make yourself sick.
Hand them round, darling.
As we are dealing in luxuries, we may as well have this crate of bottles out.
I've got it.
I'll take it.
Oh, I've got something else for you.
What on earth is it?
What the butler saw.
Bill, it's the Rokeby Venus.
Plus a canaletto, a constable, and a Franz Hals. Well, nobody seemed to want them, so I pinched them from the National Gallery.
Going to make all the difference to them.
Do you think they're unhappy?
Mary and Joyce are all right. They can keep themselves busy in the house. Denis chafes a bit.
He'll be better now. He's learned quite a bit of Braille already, and we brought back a stack of books.
He's not the type to spend his time reading when everyone else is working.
It'll be his work. I want him to read up all the medieval stuff he can find.
What?
I want to know exactly what villages did in those days, or what they used for soap and sugar and buttons and needles and cough mixture.
Are we really going back to that?
If we can't, it's going to be a poor lookout.
Oh, Bill. Bill, I wasn't made for this kind of life. It's dreadful.
Darling.
Oh, Bill. Oh, sorry. Self-pity. Revolting. Must be the gin.
And the music.
After all, we've survived a year, and we're better off than we were when we started.
Better off by David, at any rate.
Oh, and 1,000 things. There's the mill and the animals, and the garden really beginning to get organized. And you.
Yes, as long as we stay together, I don't see how they can help.
What are we going to drink for breakfast when there's no more tea or coffee?
Beer.
Jolly good show.
You, my girl, will go on drinking milk.
Swizz, how will we make the beer?
Brew it from barley.
What's the lower field looking like?
Pretty healthy. I've been thinking of pushing out the fence to extend it. By the way, who said there were more triffids around?
Me.
You were right. I've never seen so many except in a nursery.
What are they doing?
Just rooted there, being triffids, but more every day.
I wonder why.
Do you think there's a special reason?
Of course there is. He brings them.
Don't point.
And why should I bring them? Do you think I whistle to them in my sleep?
No, but you make most of the noises round the place, sawing and hammering, and they hear you.
Oh, nonsense, darling. They're plants. They can't hear.
All right. Look, Bill. You see that triffid crossing the field down the valley?
Yes.
Fire your gun out of the window. Just fire it in the air.
Anything to oblige the young.
Now, tell them what you saw.
The triffid stopped moving. It's swiveling on its roots, and yes, now it's begun to come this way.
It'll come on for about 10 minutes, then it'll stop and listen. If it can hear the others by the fence clattering, it'll keep coming on. But if it can't, it'll turn off and go wherever it was going.
You've been watching them very closely.
I always watch them. I hate them.
She's right, you know, Bill.
But they're plants. They've no ears. They can't hear.
Then they do something so like it that only a biologist could tell the difference.
Don't you remember, Mary, how they broke loose and began crowding round the house the moment we all went blind?
They often did that in tropical countries before people went blind.
But not here. Here they were always under control, and they never even tried to make trouble until things went wrong. But then they took advantage of it at once. Why?
Well, I can remember them breaking out of their enclosures before.
But not altogether.
How did they break out?
They crowd up against a portion of their fence until the pressure breaks it down.
Oh, Bill.
Their fence? Or ours?
July the 1st. At last we found what we were looking for, an RAOC depot containing flamethrowers and fuel. I brought 4 back today, and with Josella's help we destroyed about 500 triffids. August the 10th, busy harvesting. I've learned how to make a horseshoe which the horse apparently considers wearable. Notes opposite. We set fire to several hundred triffids on the northern wire in an early morning drive.
It is October the 17th and my 11th birthday. Mary gave me a rug she had knitted. We are getting awfully short of fuel for the flamethrowers and are going to try something else. I am doing the journal because W. Masen, Esquire, and D. Brent, Esquire, have gone to London to fetch sulphuric acid from a chemical works in Romford.
Watch out!
What was it?
A sign that we can't come here anymore. Fainham House crashed into the street behind us.
Oh. Vibration of the truck?
Yes. And it'll happen again if we're not careful. This is our last visit to Piccadilly.
What does it look like now?
Better.
How?
As though it belonged to another race, nothing to do with us. There's a sycamore growing out of a shop window, and all the pavements are covered with green moss. You can't see the fountain for willow herb and thistles. We can leave it to the antiquarians now and go home. Very slowly.
Oh, no. Not morning already.
Hello?
It's me. I'm going down to start milking.
I'll be with you in a moment. Do you know that before I married a farmer, I never got up before 9 o'clock?
Before I married a farmer's wife,
Susan! What's
Anything wrong?
Oh, I thought I couldn't.
Of course you can see.
Look, it's dark down there, downstairs.
Oh, the curtain's drawn.
I drew them back before we went to bed. Oh, Bill, what is it?
I'll see. Where's the torch?
How can it be dark on one floor, light on another?
Be careful, darling.
You can come down.
Is it all right?
No, it's not all right, but you're quite safe here. Look at the windows.
Leaves. Triffid leaves?
Pressed tight against them, yes. They've broken through the fence in the night, and now they're all around the house. They want us very badly.
That was episode 5 of The Day of the Triffids, a serial for broadcasting in 6 parts by Giles Cooper from the novel by John Wyndham, with Patrick Barr as Bill Masen, Monica Gray as Josella, and Gabrielle Blunt as Susan. Production for the BBC by Peter Watts. The BBC presents The Day of the Triffids.
Why is it so dark?
Look at the window.
Leaves. Triffid leaves.
They've broken through the fence in the night, and now they're all round the house.
Oh.
They must want us very bad.
The final episode, Strategic Withdrawal.
Flamethrower.
Yes.
Keep the window shut.
Take your mask.
I've got it. I'll keep the flame down as much as I can. Stand back while I open the door. Ready?
Yes.
Here goes then.
He'll never get through.
Are you all right?
Shut that window.
I got a mask, George. Oh, have they hurt you?
No, bit of poison in my goggles, that's all. I've got the flamethrower.
Some of them are turning back towards you.
Let them all come. Here we go.
Hooray! Hooray! Oh, Bill, hooray!
May the 20th. We've been here 4 years. We now have 5 beehives and are hoping to be able to make some mead to keep our spirits up during the winter. There was a triffid breakthrough this morning, the first since we began spraying round the wire with arsenic back in January. Either they've adapted themselves to it or heavy rains diluted it. Denis suggested we should try to get hold of a second generator from somewhere and electrify the fence every so often to stop them crowding against it.
Okay, that's cleared them away.
All right, I'll switch the generator off.
Bring a few logs if you're coming in.
We'll have to cut some more tomorrow.
I could do it by myself.
No,
I jolly well could.
14's too young to work a circular saw.
I worked it while you were away getting seaweed.
For heaven's sake, don't argue.
Ah, logs. Here you are, Joyce. Can you manage?
Yes, I've got them.
Oh, help us, Susan. Oh, sit down, Bill. I'll bring you some beer.
You didn't run the generator for long this evening.
Long enough. We're all cleared off.
They don't go as far now as they used to. They know that when it's not working, they're safe.
Perhaps we ought to run it more often. What on? Are you short of petrol?
Yes.
There used to be a place over at Henfield that had a goodish stock. Have you tried that?
Not yet.
I was thinking, as a matter of fact, if instead of taking the half-track, you found a tanker, you could carry a lot more.
If I could get a tanker along roads that have almost stopped being roads...
Well, it was only an idea.
What you don't seem to realize is that in a year or two there won't be any petrol. Put in a tanker or anything else.
Oh, yes, I do. And I've been thinking about that, too. We'll need a stronger fence, then. It should be possible to build a stockade of telegraph poles strong enough to keep anything out.
Possible? For who?
If you could get hold of a light crane, it would help.
And if I had 10 arms, it would help even more.
Bill!
Well, I'm sorry, but I get fed up with everybody having brilliant ideas which only need me to sweat my guts out to put into practice. Don't you think I'd like to be able to sit back and think for a change? Well, don't you?
Pencils, paper, pepper, a pop gun, and a plastic pot.
What?
Isn't it a nice list? There are one or two other things. We can get them all in Littlehampton.
Can we?
Yes, tomorrow. We'll take the half-track and have a picnic by the sea.
Don't be silly. I've got 1,000 things to do tomorrow.
Nothing more important than this.
Besides, we've never both been away together at the same time.
That's why it's important.
But...
Susan can look after everything perfectly well.
More birds this year.
The sea must be crammed with fish, with nobody taking any.
The South Coast in August, think of it.
I prefer it like this.
Wouldn't you like to jam your deck chair in between two other families and contemplate the ice cream tubs and old newspapers?
Would you?
There were an awful lot of us before this happened.
Yes. Look at those bungalows across there. Do you remember all the outcry there used to be about spoiling the countryside?
It's got its own back now.
They didn't look all that much different.
If you look properly, they do. Do you see all the moss on the roofs? Look at the way the waters streak the walls. Think of all those three-piece suites with nettles growing up through the artificial leather, and the veneer peeling off the television set.
It was a tawdry civilization.
Which was why it crashed.
You can't blame civilization for the comet, unless you still think it was a satellite that went wrong.
I'm sure it was. Michael Beadley once said that we'd been walking on a tightrope for years. We fell off it, that was all. The Triffids, too. Nobody's fault, but everybody's. Because we went merrily ahead in our own interests without bothering about the possibilities.
That's a glum train of thought.
Still, it's a mental process. Quite a change for me.
I told you it would do you good to have a break.
Yes, darling, you did. Was I frightful to Denis yesterday?
A bit hard, but he understood.
The worker's resentment of the intellectual?
More or less.
I never realized it was so easy to slip into. Too much hard work does make one stupid.
Oh, darling, we all depend on you.
And you.
And here we are lying in the sun. We might be worse off.
In a way, the last 5 years have been the happiest of my life.
Oh. Listen. What's that?
Triffid?
No, listen.
Plane. Can't be.
Wait. There it is. Look.
A helicopter.
Hi.
Wave something. A towel. Quick.
Oh, I haven't got... Oh,
hello.
Hey. Hi. Stop. Oh, what a pretty man.
Hello. You never saw us.
Silly shouting, really. You couldn't have heard.
He's gone inland.
Where can he have come from?
He seemed to be flying along the coast.
Of course, it may be someone from another family group like ours.
If they can service and fly a helicopter after all these years, they must be fairly well organized.
I mean, it's no good assuming that they could have rescued us, even if they'd seen us.
No, but all the same...
Oh, darling, I know. Makes you want to sit down and howl.
Oh, we better pack the things up and start for home.
Oh. Rear wheels look clear.
That's better. What made me think this might be a better road, I do not know.
Well, it's not much worse than the other.
Hop up on that bank and see what it looks like ahead. If it's too bad, we'll turn around and go the other way.
Well, how do you tell if it's too bad?
Or if you can see a road at all, we'll use it.
Bill, here, quick.
What's the matter?
I can see the farm and a huge great cloud of smoke.
It could be Triffids burning.
Oh, no, Bill, you know it isn't. They've had a fire and only Susan's left to fight it. Quick!
The wood pile. Why should the wood pile be on fire?
Oh, yes, Susan. Oh, thank heavens. Susan, what's happened? Look, over on the lawn, look.
The helicopter.
I lit the wood pile with a flamethrower as a signal.
Where's the pilot?
I'm here. Mr. and Mrs. Masen, I presume.
And your name's Ivan something.
Simpson.
Oh, yes, of course. You brought in a helicopter that first day.
But are you still with Michael Beadley's lot?
Yes, I've been telling your friends about it.
Well, let's go in and celebrate while you tell us too.
Thanks. And first of all, Michael told me that I was to be sure to start off with his apologies.
To me?
You were the only one who saw any danger in the Triffids, and he didn't believe you.
But how did you know I was here?
Well, we found out the rough location a few days ago from a man called Coker.
Coker? Oh, I was afraid the plague had got him at Tynesham.
No, he got away with some survivors. Maybe down in Cornwall.
But what about you? Where did you go?
Oxfordshire first.
We were told Dorset.
Yes. That was a deliberate piece of misdirection by that woman who disliked our ideas so much.
Oh, Miss Durrant.
Your memory's better than mine. Anyway, we weren't in Oxfordshire for long before we found the Triffids were too much of a problem. So we upped sticks and went to the Isle of Wight.
That where you come from today?
Yes. You see, once we'd wiped out all the Triffids on the island, there weren't any more. It took a bit of time, but the whole island's clear now, except for seeds blown over from the mainland, and we deal with those each spring. We're about 300 strong, with our headquarters in a country house near God's Hill.
You've multiplied all right, haven't you?
We've been recruiting from outside as well. I tour the country whenever I find a group of survivors. I drop down and invite them to join us.
And do they?
Sometimes. Sometimes not. There are quite a lot of little tribal communities that don't want to be governed anymore. There's one at Brighton that even shoots at the aircraft.
I know, they warned me off too.
It's the same at Guildford and Maidstone. I suppose they've got a lot of stores and they're scared of other people wanting them.
How do you do for supplies?
Well, we had the whole island, and Portsmouth and Southampton to draw on. But we're feeding ourselves now and beginning to branch out.
How?
A fishing fleet, a cement works, and an iron foundry. Do you know we even brought a load of ore down by sea from Northumberland last summer, just to prove that we could do it. The next thing will be an expedition to the Nottingham oil field, and we hope to get the Fawley refinery working.
That sounds a busy life.
It is. There's plenty of room for helpers. You could be very useful.
I have learned to do a good many things in the last few years.
No, I don't mean farming. That's all looked after. But you're a biochemist, aren't you?
Well, a biologist with a little chemistry.
That's too fine a distinction for me. The point is, Michael's been trying to get some research going into a method of knocking off Triffids scientifically.
A selective killer?
Something like that. If we're ever going to extend, we've got to find one. But the trouble is that the only people to work on it are a few who have forgotten even the biology they learnt at school. What about it? Would you like to turn professor?
There's nothing I'd like better.
Does this mean that you're inviting us all to your island haven?
To come on mutual approval.
What does that mean?
Well, Bill and Josella probably remember the broad principles laid down that night at the university. We still keep to them.
All of them?
Yes.
How do you feel about that, Josella?
I made up my mind about it years ago. Don't you remember?
You see, we aren't out to reconstruct. We want to build something new and better. Some people don't take to that, and it's better to let them go elsewhere.
That sounds a pretty poor offer under the circumstances.
Oh, well, we don't throw them back to the Triffids. No. There was a party of about 100 that split off from us and went over to Guernsey. They've cleaned it up and they're doing all right. If anyone's odd enough to prefer it.
Sounds a bit dictatorial.
Pioneer governments have to be.
How's this council formed?
The best thing is for you to come along and find out how it all works. Even if you don't like it, you'll find the Channel Isles a better spot than this is likely to be in a few years' time.
Bill, you out there?
Here.
What you doing?
Taking evening air, looking at the view, thinking.
You've escaped quite an argument. They've been hard at it ever since Ivan left.
What's the upshot?
They'll come, but they don't want to.
Surely they can see...
No, Bill, they can't. Quite literally, I mean. They can't see the Triffids like a thick hedge all round. And beyond them, the country's sinking back to marsh and forest. They still think of a tidy countryside, lanes and fields and cottages. Besides, they know their way round here. Oh, it must be awful moving house when you're blind.
It's our home, too.
I know. We've made it. Oh, we could stay a year or two longer. What do you think?
No, not now. No point. And think of the children.
That's what finally made the others decide to leave.
All the time I've been haunted by something Coker said years ago. The first generation peasants, the next savages. Well, that's the way we're heading unless we admit defeat and go.
Not defeat. A strategic withdrawal.
All right, but when?
Let's have the summer here. We can live off stores and have a sort of holiday.
Very well. And on the 20th of September, when the schools used to reassemble, we'll pack up and drive down to Portsmouth. We'll flash a light to the island and wait for a boat to pick us up.
Fancy being in a boat again. And yet, you know, I shall cry buckets when we do leave.
That's 20 sacks.
1 ton. Put up the tailboard.
I'm sorry about this.
Why?
If I hadn't burnt the wood pile yesterday, you wouldn't have had to come and get coal today.
All in a good cause. I shan't have to do it again.
Shall I like it in the Isle of Wight?
Yes.
Josella said I'd be going to school.
You will.
But I know everything now. I can milk and drive a tractor and harness a horse and shoot triffids.
There are other things worth learning.
Oh, all right, if you say so. But I won't have to leave you, will I?
No, you'll always stay with us. Now, come on. Let's go home and start our holiday.
I'll open the gate.
Put your mask on.
Oh, it'll be marvelous never having to wear these things when we get to the Isle of Wight. I say, look, we've got more visitors.
Ivan again?
No, in the yard there. That's not one of our cars.
What on earth is it?
Well, the top part looks like a sort of caravan.
There's no doubt about the bottom part. It's a tank. Here, hurry up. Let's go and find the owner.
This is my husband and our adopted daughter. Bill, this is a Mr. Torrance. He says he's some kind of an official from Brighton. These other men are with him.
How do you do, Mr. Mason?
We've met before.
I don't think so.
Oh, yes, we have. On the second day of the disaster, you fired at me up in Hampstead.
Oh, did I? Well, those were bad days. Shoot first and ask questions afterwards, eh?
As times have improved, perhaps your friends would like to park their Sten guns outside.
They're all right here. It's a man's best friend, you know, as they used to say in the army. The boys get attached to them.
Why did you say you want to see me?
I understand you're in charge here.
Well, the place belongs to Mr. Brent.
Yes, but you're the organizer. I'm commander, Southeast Region.
What does that mean?
It means that I am the chief executive officer of the Emergency Council for Southeast Britain.
Never heard of it.
We didn't know about you until we saw your fire yesterday.
Well, now that you do know, what about it?
When a group like yours is discovered, it's my job to investigate and assess it.
Why?
In case adjustments have to be made. So you can take it from me that I'm here officially.
On behalf of an official council?
What else?
Or a self-elected one?
There has to be law and order. Here's my warrant, if you'd like to see it.
I'm blind.
Oh, yes, of course. Well, Mr. Mason, this is a well-found place you have here.
That Mr. Brent has.
Mr. Brent is only here because you made it possible for him to stay.
But it's his property.
It was.
Meaning what?
All titles to property have ceased to be valid. Besides, Mr. Brent is blind. He's not competent to hold authority.
So shut your mouth, Blindy, and keep it shut.
Well, then let's get down to business. Your wife says there are 8 of you here. 5 adults, this girl, and 2 small children. All of you are sighted except these 3 here. Check?
Correct.
We'll have to alter that.
What?
Well, it's disproportionate.
It happens to be the way we like it.
Oh, yes, I'm sure it is. But we've got to be realistic these days.
I don't quite gather what we have to be realistic about.
Yes, well, I'll put you in the picture. Regional HQ is in Brighton.
Yeah, we paid you a visit once and got a shot across our bars.
I dare say. We've had to discourage outsiders because of supplies. We've been there ever since London got too bad. It's a big place, and we were able to isolate part of it until the sickness passed. Since then, we've been living on the stocks we found there, plus what we've run in from other towns. But all that's folded up now. Roads are getting too bad and petrol's running low. So, we're beginning to disperse and live off the land.
Or in other words, having used up all your own supplies, you're starting to pinch other people's.
Shut up, Denis.
It's barefaced robbery. They've got no authority over us.
Shut up. Let me handle this. Tell me your plans, Mr. Torres.
You've got a good place here, fully capable of supporting 2 units.
A unit being what?
1 sighted person to 10 blind, plus any children. We shall allocate to you a further 17 blind persons, making 20 with the 3 you already have. And, of course, children.
Well, 20 people can't live off this land. It's impossible.
It can be done. Oh, of course, you will be in command of the double unit.
Supposing I don't choose to?
Then we put someone else in. We can't afford waste in these times.
All the same, I still say the land can't do it.
It will. Mind you, you'll have to lower your standards. We'll all have to tighten our belts for a few years. But in the end, you'll get the payoff.
How?
Well, in 6 or 7 years' time, the children will have grown up a bit. You'll have labor to expand with. Then you can relax, just supervise. You'll be the head of a clan that's working for you. You'll have an inheritance to hand on to your son.
What you're really offering is a kind of feudal seigneury.
Yeah, that's it. Just the word. And with all the rights. If you know what I mean. It's the only practical way to work under present conditions.
But what on earth are they going to eat at the start?
Mashed triffid.
That's cattle food.
But very nourishing. Filthy stuff. Look, Mr. Mason, you're still doing some old-fashioned thinking. What are these people? Why are they alive? Because of us. Okay, then. They do what we tell them and eat what we give them. Beggars can't be choosers, especially when they're blind.
Bill, shut up.
Just where do you and your council stand in all this?
Exactly where the monarch would stand in a feudal system. We rule and control the armed forces.
Armed forces?
They will be raised as and when necessary by levies on the seigneuries, as you call them. In return, you have the right to call on the council if they are attacked, or when you have trouble from your workers.
I should have thought a small police force was all you needed.
But you've got to think ahead. After all, every country in the world is in the same state. One of them is going to be the first to get back on its feet, and that country will dominate all the others. It's our duty to be that country. And that is why we need an army.
No.
What?
No. We've lived through this agony all these years. And now the man proposes to start a war.
We're getting a bit tired of you, mate. You talk too much, Blindy.
And I never said anything about a war. It will simply be a question of pacifying and administering tribes that have reverted to lawlessness.
Unless they think of it first.
Which is why we have got to be prepared. Is it all clear, Mr. Mason?
Yes, I think so. You expect the 3 of us here to be responsible for 20 blind people and a number of children.
2, not 3. Yourself and your wife.
And Susan.
Sorry. The allocation is 10 per unit, and we can't make exceptions. We'll find work for her at headquarters until she's old enough to run a unit on her own.
Oh, with some chap.
My wife and I regard her as our own daughter.
We've got to stick to the regulations.
Yes, of course.
Bill!
Sorry, Susan, but orders are orders.
Besides, you'll do all right at HQ, my girl. It's in the pavilion.
Of course, we would expect certain guarantees with regard to her education and so on.
Oh, naturally.
There's a good deal to be thought of.
Such as?
Some of our equipment's wearing out. We're going to need a couple of good draft horses soon.
Oh, it's difficult.
We must have them.
Not for a bit.
Well, how do we plough?
Hitch all your blinders to the plough and make them pull it. All you have to do is encourage them.
You've thought of everything.
That's what the council is for.
What about housing?
Well, we'll bring up a couple of prefabs and put them up for you.
Oh, thanks. Well, that will be a help.
Anyone who cooperates with us can be sure of every possible assistance.
It'll be quite a relief in a way, not to be entirely on our own. Well, now, I dare say you'd like to see round the place. We're rather proud of our anti-triffid fence. Then we'll have a drink or two on the deal. How's that?
Well, fine. But we can't stay too late.
I'd better have a wash first. I'm covered with coal. Susan, start showing Mr. Torrance and his friends round the estate.
Me?
Yes, it'll give her a chance to get to know you. I'll join you in a moment.
This way.
Right.
Bill. Oh, Bill, how could you?
Quiet. Let him get away from the door. Now, make no mistake about it. Those men are very dangerous.
We can't do what they suggest.
Of course we can't. You really see me driving my serfs before me with a whip. But we're not in a position to give a flat no to a proposition put up by 4 armed men.
Surely we don't have to give them such a hearty yes.
I agree.
For the moment we must. Now listen. I think their idea is to leave tonight taking Susan with them as a sort of hostage.
No.
And perhaps one of them will stay behind to keep an eye on us. Well, that is not what's going to happen. I'm going out to join them in a moment, and this is what I want you to do.
Very good, very
Hey, she can jive. Hang on, that's what it's called. I remember now.
Rock and roll.
Who's got an empty glass?
Mr. Torrance.
Was it mead or whiskey?
Give him both.
Boy, steady on.
Oh, you can't have too much of a good thing, can you, Commander?
Well, see, I'm a jiving tonight.
Cheers.
You know, I like you, Bill.
You're all right.
Yes, you're all right. You've got a bit of sense. You know, some of these people don't have any.
Yeah, do you know what? Some places we go, they don't want us. Tell us to go away. Well, that's true, Jim, eh?
Yeah.
Remember Louis? Yeah, that's just what I mean. They told us to push off, but Louis told us.
Well, what did you do?
Lined them up against a cow shed and shot the rotten lot.
Well, you've got to be firm.
Any empty glasses?
Yeah.
You've got to show them who the masters are.
Put another record on, Blighty.
Coming up. And then we'll all
Josella, already?
Are they asleep?
Flat out. Down you come. The half-track's in the garage. Mary, Denis, Joyce, and Susan get in the back. You've got Jean, haven't you?
Yes, she's asleep.
Keep her that way.
Shall I bring David in front?
Yes, go on now. I'll follow.
Mummy.
Shh.
Lock 'em in. Quietly.
Is this the food?
Yes, stow it behind you.
Don't shut the door.
Oh, hurry, hurry.
All right in the back?
Yes.
Then hold on tight. I'm going to have to crash the gate. Here we go. Shut the doors.
They're awake.
Hold tight! We're through! Mind your eyes!
We're past the triffid.
Right.
What's the matter?
Oh, go on, Bill. Go on.
It's all right. I just want to see whether they follow us. If they do, we'll have to make a detour before we go to Portsmouth.
Of course they'll follow us.
I don't think so. They're out of the house. They're climbing into their machine.
Oh, Bill, let's go.
No,
Bill.
wait. They've switched on the headlamps. Hello?
What happened? Quick, let's get away.
Listen. That's all right.
What's happened?
There's 10 pounds of your honey in the petrol tank. I hoped it would do the trick.
Oh, look. The triffids are swarming in.
Yes, they'll be stuck there now till someone turns up to rescue them. Portsmouth, here we come. How's David?
Asleep.
And are you crying buckets?
No.
We're leaving.
Why? I've got all I want.
And someday we'll be coming back. We arrived at Portsmouth at 7 o'clock in the morning, and by midday we were over here. We decided to stay, and here we are. Well, that's all from me. Josella?
I've no more. Thank you. Well, that's a jolly good interview. Just filled up that reel of tape, too. Thanks awfully, both of you.
That's all right.
But you said you would go back, Bill.
When we've beaten the Triffids.
Bill, there must be hundreds of thousands on the mainland by now.
And more every year. Torrance's seigneuries have had it, and I don't think any of the other communities will last long.
So is there any hope then, Bill?
I think so, yes.
Meaning you're on to something?
We might be in a few years' time.
As long as that.
Well, it took thousands of years for us to become clever enough to make anything as foul as a Triffid. We can't expect to undo our work at once. But we're on the right road, I'm sure of that. And someday we, or our children, or their children, will go back across the straits. And the Triffids will have had their day.
That was The Day of the Triffids, the final episode of the serial by Giles Cooper from the novel by John Wyndham, with Patrick Barr as Bill Masen and Monica Gray as Josella Playto. Production for the BBC was by Peter Watts.
Thank you for listening. If you enjoy what I'm doing, I ask you to please subscribe to my channel or channels. Well, hope you enjoyed, and until next time, stay safe, wish you well, peace.